Greetings, my name is Slight, and welcome to the first ever in-depth guide that I've released for Marvel Snap. If you've never watched any of my content before, which is very likely, I don't have a monetized channel. I believe in building communities, and I do this for a hobby. So if you do end up subscribing to my channel, only do it for you. Don't do it for me. I am not here trying to get your attention. That being said, if all you're looking for is a powerful, complex, difficult, outplay-centric build, or rather deck, to play Marvel Snap with over the last few days of your break, if you've got a few days left, I have the deck for you. It is called the Area Denial deck that I have built in front of you. It uses only a few Pool 3 cards, so nothing from Pool 4 or Pool 5. And I've got some good sub-ins here at the bottom, cards that I'd love to play in this deck, but I currently don't have, like Debris, Dr. Octopus, Darkhawk, and Spider-Man. That being said, if you don't want to listen to my full explanation, you can pull the list here and check this out. You can pause, wrong one. You can pause the video right here. This will show you some of the early combos that you have, and it also has the locations in which you are highly favored or unfavored so that you can determine when to snap. One key thing you need, before you pause the video, key thing that you need to know is that this deck usually wins by turn 3, 4, or 5. You almost never want to go into turn 6 with either player snapping. Otherwise, I tend to leave because this deck doesn't perform as well on turn 6, or rarely does. So you need to know when to snap early, and that is very location dependent. So that's why I've included, this took quite a bit of work to get this put up for you. The letters on there also indicate the rarity of the location, which is very important to know. So without any ado, you can go ahead and play. If you want to stick around for the full explanation, let's get started. All right, so let's pop back to the main splash here. All right, as you can see, we're running Ebony Maw, Hood, Korg, Elektra, Black Widow, Viper, Maximus, Green Goblin, Polaris, Rockslide, Hobgoblin, Gamora. I've never seen anyone run a list just like this, but this list has been rocking it, okay? And there's some really unique choices here that if you're scratching your head, I don't blame you at all. One of the main things that our goal here is to do is to deny the opponent draws using Korg and Rockslide, and then to deny them areas in which they can play on the board. One thing to keep in mind, if I have a Green Goblin that I send over to the enemy side of the board, I'd like you to imagine that you're actually now playing sort of 5 areas for you versus 3 areas on them. So you may notice that we actually don't have a huge amount of power across all of our cards. We've got maybe Maximus, Polaris, and the Hood and Ebony Maw are kind of the most cost effective as far as just pure power. Gamora is good too if you can hit the effect, right? But you'll notice that we're not pumping a lot of power. And that's because we're really looking to win 2 lanes, and we're doing that by denying area and then exploiting that denial. All right, we are often in a position where we can actually literally gimp people out of a game, where we win on turn 2 or 3 because they simply can't really meaningfully play or beat us. If they've only got 4 power on a location and only 1 area left, well, it's going to be very easy for us to win that location, even if we're not playing the most powerful cards in the game. Because all we need to do is beat 1 card, and if they try to wait till turn 6, well, we have an opportunity to fill that space with something else that they don't like. And if they're waiting for turn 6 for a powerful play, the longer that they wait, the higher the chance is that they draw a rock. And even 1 rock can significantly reduce the efficacy and the ability for their deck to play. All right, so we've got Korg, Rockslide doing that. Other interesting to note is Elektra. Elektra forms a combo on this deck, and actually it's the main reason we include it is because we tend to have relatively effective 5-drops, and Elektra fits really well on that final turn. Ideally, we're playing a 5-drop and Elektra or the Demon from Hood on turn 6. That's kind of our best case scenario. Elektra sometimes wins you games because she kills like a high value Sunspot or maybe a buffed up Ant-Man, something like that tends to happen. Sometimes she can be an 8-point swing, and it's definitely not anything to scoff at. But the main combo that she brings for us is that she guarantees a lane win anytime we're able to draw Ebony Maw and Viper by turn 3. Then you can play Ebony Maw then Viper on an empty lane. Ebony Maw goes over to the enemy territory. You're losing that lane, but they can't play any cards there. So on turn 6, when you play a 5-drop plus Electra kills Ebony Maw for you. All right, you win that lane guaranteed, and then Gamora or Hobgoblin tend to provide a powerful 5-drop somewhere else on the board. Ideally, you're playing Gamora on turn 5, Gamora on turn 6 with a 1-drop, and Hobgoblin on turn 5. Ideally, we don't want to wait too long to play Hobgoblin because it risks their board getting gummed up and us getting stuck with Hobgoblin. That's one of the key points about this deck, is that the skills, you really need a lot of skill to play this deck. You really need to have a good sense of what they're doing, because if you play a Hobgoblin or a Green Goblin right as they're about to fill their location and you weren't expecting it, well, you're stuck with a -3 or a -8. 90% of the time, that's a lost game. It's very rare that you're going to be able to come back from that. And so, because of that, you can be hardcore punished. But with great risk comes great reward. If you're playing correctly, you can punish them way harder than on average you're getting punished by your own cards. Ideally, we want to play either do the Ebony Maw Viper combo on the first turn, or we want to do or on the first 3 turns, or we want to do Hood plus Viper, where we play the -2 Hood, we play Viper on top of that, and then we've got a demon in our hand, and we've got a 5-point swing on the Viper Hood lane, because now they have a -2, we have +3 from Viper, we've got a demon in our hand, and for 4 energy, we've got 11 power, which is extremely efficient, okay? One key tip is to save your demon until later in the game, because you want that 6 points to not be killed by an Electra maybe, but mostly by Killmonger. With Silver Surfer decks being as common as they are, you really need to be careful about Killmonger. I would just about always wait to play my demon unless I know I won't be able to play him otherwise. Beyond that, we've got Black Widow. Black Widow is very low power, but think of it like this. She denies 1 draw and she denies an area. That is extremely effective in our deck and should not be underestimated. She's the only card in our deck that meets both of our goals. And so she should not be removed. She's incredibly important, and she combines well with Maximus on turn 3. With Maximus on turn 3, you can play Black Widow, then Maximus, and they're guaranteed not to draw those 2 cards because you just gave them the Widow's Bite in their hand. Kind of a cheeky little combo. Doesn't come up often, but it does come up. Polaris is a nice, unique card. Every once in a while, if you send an Ebony Maw over, you can actually move that Ebony Maw with Polaris. But most importantly, she serves as a more safe way to fill up a single lane. So if they play a 1 or 2 drop, and then they play 2 cards on another lane, I tend to play Polaris on that lane where they've got those 2 other cards. I can stack up a 3rd card there, and oftentimes Polaris can simply win you the game, or at least that lane for sure, just because of that play. They've already committed 3 cards essentially to that lane, and often those are the early plays, meaning they're not as powerful. Those early plays tend to get spread out, so they don't take up as much areas on the board. And Polaris is really, really effective at denying them that space by just moving their own cards around. Green Goblin, Hobgoblin we've already talked about. Ebony Maw can be played early game if you don't have anything else. And sometimes what I'll do is I'll play Ebony Maw in one lane on an empty lane. Once I know that I've got 2 other lanes to play in, and then at some point in the game, the opponent has to commit at least enough to beat 7, which often means that if I'm denying them areas on the other areas of the board, this actually becomes kind of tough for them. If they're getting 1 or 2 less draws a turn, and they play one of their high-valued cards against Ebony Maw in one of these lanes, even though I've just got a solo Ebony Maw there, it actually turns out that that can be really impactful game choice. It's very rare that Ebony Maw solo wins a lane or actually causes significant disruption in most games, but with this deck, because I'm denying areas on those other 2 lanes so effectively, well, if especially maybe turn 2, turn 3, they start playing in the Ebony Maw thinking they're going to win, well, I might pull that over with Polaris. I might put a Green Goblin on the most high-value location, especially locations that have impacts on the other locations. And because of this, even a solo Ebony Maw actually works quite well. So I told you this was a deep dive. One thing I want to talk about here is betting strategy. I think that the correct move with this deck is pretty much never go for 8 cubes. You know, if they're snapping, that should be a concern. Realistically, this deck does well when they feel on the back foot. All right, you put them on the back foot early game. If they're feeling like they can win, you need to be absolutely certain that they're wrong. Okay, because a turn 6 Killmonger can really, really mess you up. That means that Ebony Maw, your Electra, your Korg, and maybe your Demon are all gone, and that could be a really big problem. In general, destroy decks are also a really big problem for you, because if you toss a Hood over there and a Green Goblin, they might just gobble those up with a Carnage or a Venom, and it's not as nearly as impactful to you. So you're definitely most countered by a Killmonger, although only if you're not playing around it, in my opinion, and then probably the most countered by destroy decks, which the good thing is you do have some outplay in the early game against a destroy deck, which is really, really fun. If they play a Nom and a Bucky Jones or Bucky Barnes in one lane, on turn 3, if I have priority, I can pull one of those out, and then they end up playing Carnage or Venom there, and I've actually denied them half of the value that they expected to get from their sort of early game destroy mechanic. So you do have counterplay. It's just that you just need to be aware when you're playing against a destroy deck. And you really never want to go to 8 cubes. Basically, if they're snapping, you need to be really sure about what you're doing. Ideally, they should feel so uncomfortable they can't snap because of your early game pressure. And if you're snapping, they snap you back, it is very rare that I'm going to stay in that game. I'd prefer to take the 2 cube loss at the time that they snap than go up to 8 and risk, or go up to 4 or 8 and risk lots of cubes, because our late game plays are not strong. You only want to go into the late game to turn 6, all right, if you're limping, meaning that there's only 2 cubes on the line, all right? This is a 2 cube deck, but it's consistent. And every time that I've misplayed and lost cubes with this deck, it's because I went up against someone who snapped, and I was like, what do you know? Or we both snapped, I snapped first early, and then I didn't have the presence of mind to retreat, even though I had snapped. So sometimes you do snap, and then they feel like they're in a good position and they snap. That's a great opportunity to leave the game, give your 2 cubes away, and rely on the high win rate you can achieve by just playing really effectively. Okay, so I think that covers the deck. Basically, I'm going to go over some more in-depth information here. I'm going to go look at location calculations, and deck playability calculations using a hypergeometric calculator, and then we're going to play some games. This is going to be kind of a long video, but hopefully this is helpful for you and gives you all the information that you need to do this type of stuff. So first, let's pop back to this. As you can see, this would be what I would consider you could leave up while you're playing. Because this deck wins early on turn 2, 3, or 4, we really need to know what locations are favorable for us, all right? And the way we know that is something like this, a tier list that I've made, and something like this can be really, really helpful. So let me hop over really quick to this image here, all right? So I was interested in what the percentage of getting like a specific rarity of location was. So if you didn't know, locations have rarities. There's ultra rare, rare, common, and uncommon. You can see on the left hand side here. There are 2 ultra rare locations and 64 common locations. Now, I saw a Reddit post by Torikun, and he, in 28 games, he observed these rates of rarities. So he got 80% commons, 15% uncommon, 4% rare, ultra rare. And that seemed to make some sense to me. That kind of just jived with what my personal experience was. I watched a Hooglandia video, which was a good video, and he said that and I've got the links in the description for both of these if you want to check them out, but there's basically a multiplier. So if we assume that the ultra rare location is like the base multiplier, then a rare will appear 5 times more than an ultra rare. An uncommon will appear 8 times more than an ultra rare, and a common will appear 13 times more than an ultra rare. And so at first I did a little bit of bad math, and I was like, well, that doesn't quite make sense, because I would expect like this to be 1% and this, or like, you know, like 6%, and then this to be like 13 times 6%, right? Something like that, okay? But it's not the way it works, right? It's a weight per location, okay? So we have to multiply this weight base times the number of locations for that rare, and then all of those go into a pool, okay? So since I have 64 common locations with a 13 base multiplier, it's sort of like having 832 locations versus 2 ultra rare locations, all right? Because the weight gets multiplied by the number of locations, and then I was able to calculate out the actual percentage that would occur, and lo and behold, it matches up really well to the observed distribution by Torikun. So this is the calculated rate for any given location to be a given rarity, and that's pretty useful. So a rare is going to be about 5% of the time, an uncommon about 20% of the time, and a common about 75% of the time. That's really useful for us to know, because when you go back to this tier list, all right, you've got these rarities here, and you can make a judgment call about how likely one of these is going to occur. Okay, the math is hard a little bit, so I've done it for you. Let's hop over to Excel. Hold on, let me pull it up. Okay, this isn't what we want. We want locations. Okay, all right, let me make sure you can see this. Yes, you can. Sweet. Okay. All right, so there's 107 total locations. I went through that tier list, and then I divvied them up, right, to highly favorable, favorable, and then unfavorable, highly unfavorable. Now, there were 49 locations that I thought either had a positive or negative effect depending on who you're playing, or they were just super random and like unimpactful, like they were random to both players. So like they're impactful, but they're not impactful because of the deck we're playing or because of the way we're playing, right? Like District X that gives us a bunch of random cards is sort of like not really better or worse for us. It's not, I don't like it very much, but right. So anyway, so also I'll link the actual tier list. The tier list that I made on TierMaker.com does include the 19 iffy ones. So if you don't want to just use the video tier list, you can go to the actual tier list in the link description, and then you can see a slightly larger tier list with a little bit more information. But I don't know how much these middling sort of iffy locations are helpful. That being said, I have created a distribution of the rarity of the locations and which slot they fit in on the tier list, and then weighted them and given you a sense of how likely any given location is to be in one of these slots. So you can kind of look at all this and delete it from your brain. You don't really need to know it. But what you do want to know is that there's a 16.38% chance for a highly favorable location to occur and a 4.96% chance for a highly unfavorable location to occur. One of the great things about this deck is that it actually has a lot of favored and highly favored locations where you can gimp people out of games. For instance, let's take Bar Sinister, top left. I've ordered these not only from best to worst, but left to right. So I think that the things in the top left of each of these categories are some of the best things in those sections. So like this is the most favored location. This is the most highly favored location. Why is Bar Sinister so good? Well, if we ever play a Green Goblin on Bar Sinister and they don't play, even if we have priority, actually, if we play Bar Sinister on turn 3, we play a Green Goblin with priority, we guarantee win that location because we send over 3 or 4 goblins on their side of the board, and then we're just left with 1 or 2 on our side of the board, and then we can actually continue to play cards there. If it wasn't enough, it's usually a 1-card win on that location, right? Space Throne is one that's really, really good. It means that they can only have 1 card there. Once again, Green Goblin is an easy win there. We just send a Green Goblin over. They can't play any more cards there. They're done. They're out of that one. Okay, we've guaranteed won that one. And Polaris, we can play into the Space Throne, and if we pull one of their 1-drops into Space Throne, we've also won that one. We can easily gimp that. Some of the unique ones are like Negative Zone, Sewer System, and Necrotia. These give cards minus power. Normally these are kind of a nuisance, but they're great for us because Green Goblin, hoods that we send over with Viper, even like it's very common that I send a Korg over with Viper on turn 2, or even an Electra if I just want to stay on tempo, which is rare. I rarely play the Electra. I don't know if that's the right play, but sometimes I'll send a Korg over, especially if they've got like a sewer system or an Akrasha. I have no problem giving them 1 power or 0 power to deny them a spot on that side of the board. Those are very good, and Green Goblin and Hobgoblin also just get a buff by getting extra minus points by being in those locations. Superflow's one where if you don't have a card there, the enemy is, if you don't have a card there, you get extra energy per turn. Well, you can, once again, just send your card over to their side. You can force them not to get that energy while you're getting the energy. A lot of times that's a win. And it gives you extra information too, because you know now that they have a Green Goblin there, that they're going to play there. And so that gives you information that's really important. They now feel like that's a location that they can play in as opposed to a location that they can't, that they're trying to save. Overall, stuff like Central Park that adds a bunch of squirrels to the board works out really, really well in our favor. That's sort of like denying 3 areas. And it's very, very powerful. And you can kind of go down this list, right? You know, there's stuff that's favored, stuff that's unfavored. Some of the most unfavored stuff is stuff you can't play into. This deck doesn't have a lot of reach. If you can't play, you can't really move stuff into it. Peak is always really bad for us. We don't really have any counters to on reveals, and we can't play and Camartage because if you play a Green Goblin into Camartage, it triggers its reveal, which goes over to the enemy side, and then triggers it again and sends it right back to you. So that's not great, right? That's not great. So all that's to say that you have these percentages per any given location. So that's a location flips up, a percentage of the time it's going to be in these slots. So I did some extra calculation here, all right? And I think this is one of the cool things about Marvel Snap is that because there's a low amount of cards, this actual calculation is pretty doable. And I think it's very interesting. And I think as the game becomes more competitive, when there's friends playing, which I think is up next pretty soon here in the roadmap, we're going to see people caring a lot more about the efficiency of their deck. And this is a really effective way to do it. So I'm going to explain sort of what these are, and then I'm going to explain how I got to them real quick. So if you're interested in this type of stuff, you will see kind of how to calculate that. So the percent chance for any single location to flip up average or better is 78.78%. The percentage for any location to be favored or better is 32.64%, right? We're here. Now, we don't need, how many locations do we need to be favored to win? Like, if we have one highly favored location, and then we gimp them out of the other one, that's like a halfway one, even if we have an unfavored location, like, I think we're usually in a pretty good spot, right? So, the chance of 1 out of 3 locations to be highly favored is 38.8%. So almost 40% of the games, we're going to get at least one highly favored location. That's really good. And 5% will get 2 highly favored locations, all right? And that is a really, really good percentage, because we only have a 10% chance to get 1 out of 3 highly favored and a less than 1% chance to get 2 out of 3 highly unfavored. One of the reasons this deck is so important is not as obvious. People right now, the game is new, the game is young. People talk a lot about the combos that they can get. Oh, this plus this plus this. Oh, this is sick. This is sick. But sometimes the decks that perform the best are the ones that actually hit the field the best, right? And that takes more calculation. That takes more thought. And it takes a lot more experience, unless you're willing to go through these kind of calculations. A lot of, I would be curious, and I haven't done it because, it kind of takes a bit of time, and I'm not, I do this as a hobby. It's not something that I have a huge amount of time for. But I'd be curious how these types of, these stats here compare to something like a Mr. Negative deck, which I think would do pretty well, or like a Patriot deck. These decks are pretty straightforward, but I wonder which of the 2 decks has the most favored locations, and how does that actually impact a competitive atmosphere? That's something that's going to be on the horizon for everyone who is interested in Marvel Snap. So keep an eye out for this type of calculation. You may think it's too in-depth now, but give it 6 months, 8 months, and you'll probably see more of this. So you might be interested, we'll go through the rest of these here, but you might be interested, how did I come to this number, right? How do I come to 1 out of 3? All right, I think most of us, if you're watching this video, you've almost certainly seen like the Korg math video, which explains like, if you play Korg on turn 1, what's the chance that you draw at each turn? And what they're doing is they're actually, see, like I've got these calculations here, and we'll come to these here in just a sec. All right, this is all this Korg stuff plus Rockslide. What they're doing is called a hypergeometric distribution. All right, can you see this? Let's just make sure I can. All right, yeah, we're good. Okay, hypergeometric distribution is a really unique and powerful tool. There are some online. I'm considering putting this up. It might, check the description if you want to use one that I make. I might make one and put it on like a Google Excel sheet so you can use it. But the idea is, let's say we want to know how likely it is we draw a specific combo by turn 3. Let's say it's Viper plus Korg. Excuse me, it's Viper plus Ebony Maw. All right. We need 2 cards, Viper and Ebony Maw, right? When do we need them by? We need them by turn 3, right? All right, so how many cards do we draw by turn 3? So we get 3 at the beginning of the game, then we draw 1, 2, 3. So 6 total cards, right? So we have 6 cards. These are 6 attempts to succeed at these 2 successes of Viper and Ebony Maw. I don't know why that's like that, but I don't like it. I need some consistency. All right, how many correct cards are in the deck? Well, it's just 2. There are only 2 that we want. Now, if we were looking for like how many turn 1 plays we have, you know, and I just want to draw 1 turn 1 play, and I have like 4 in the deck, then I would put like 1 here and 4 here. But no, we want a specific combo. We want to see if we can draw Viper or Ebony Maw, and there's only 2 of those, and then how many how many total cards are left in the deck. All right, so we're going to start as if this is the very beginning of the game, so we're going to put it at 12 because we have 12 total. All right, and here we're giving two options here. You can see that I've done this up here. I've sort of spread this all out and color coded it so that it's a little bit more understandable. This is the actual Excel function here, hypergeom_dist, and then these are the actual variables that you plug into it. And so I've kind of got those spread out for you so you can see them. And honestly, you can do this very easily on your own on Google Sheets, no problem. I don't know if Google Sheets has a hypergeometric distribution calculator, but I would assume they do, if Excel does. So this spits out 2 answers. That's weird. Why is it 2? All right, because based on this cumulative Boolean parameter here, if it's true, then it calculates something different. All right, if it's true, it's what's the chance you draw exactly X up here, exactly 2 successes or more. All right, and in our case, it correctly accounts for the fact that there's only 2, so it really can't draw more than 2, right? So really, this is what's the chance we draw exactly 2. False says, what is the chance I draw exactly 2 or less? All right, meaning that we will still get it, but it's more like, hold on, my brain. Hold on, pause. Okay, I figured it out. I had a typo. That did not make sense to my brain. Okay, all right. So these should be the same. All right, because they were off before, and it was because I accidentally had a -1 here, and I didn't need that. Okay. In this one, I'll link you to why this is this way, but it's correct, right? So these are the same, right? And it's because we can't draw more than 2, so we have a 22% chance per game. So in 1 out of 5 games, we should be able to totally gimp them out of a lane. Also, you'll find it interesting here that we have this 22.73% chance to get Viper and Ebony by turn 3, and then a 70% chance to draw Electra by turn 6 when we draw these 2 by turn 3. So this is a very likely combo to happen, and should not be underestimated. Okay, back to Excel. Okay, so we'll do one other thing here. Let's say I want to draw 1 of any of my 1-drops that I want to play on turn 1. Okay, and we'll say it's Hood, Ebony Maw, and Korg. We don't want to play Electra turn 1. All right, and we want it by turn 1. All right, and so by turn 1, how many cards do we see? We see 4 cards. Okay, how many of these things are in the deck? Well, there's 3 of them, right? There's these 3, so there are 3 correct cards left in the deck, and the deck has 12 cards total. So now this kind of comes into position, right? What's the chance we draw just one of them is 50%, and one or more of them is 74%. Now we see a difference here that actually makes sense because this or more or less starts to come in. And actually, this is incorrect. This is incorrect. This is not or less. This is exact. Chance you draw exactly X successes is 50%. I also had that incorrect. But you know what? We got it. We got it by the end. I didn't say the wrong thing in the video. So this is unique and interesting to know. So this is how I'm coming to these calculations. I'm using a hypergeometric distribution. If you have a sense of this, I'll link you to the video that taught me how to do it. And maybe you've learned a little bit right there. Then you can actually perform this analysis yourself. And if you're, sweaty and interested and really maximizing the potential of any given deck and really looking like that kind of stuff interests you, this would be a very powerful way to do that. So we can then realize that in 70% of our games, at least one of the 3 locations will be favored. In 23%, 1 in 5 games will have 2 out of 3 favored locations. And as you can see, with these highly favored and favored stuff, we're looking at a pretty good position. In 46% of the games, all 3 will be average or better. That is a very high ratio. All right, especially considering so many are highly favored for us. And we have a 25% chance to get at least 1 unfavored location, which all kind of makes sense, right? This is all kind of cool stuff. Okay, so let's move. We've already talked about this. I don't think anything else to say. Let's check out the the general playability. So Viper plus Hood by turn 2 is a 15% chance, and I actually think this calculation is a little wrong. I think I need to calculate Hood by turn 1, so that's 1 of 1, and then Viper on turn 2. But this is the chance that you're going to have both of them in your hand by turn 2, which doesn't quite work out because you could draw Viper turn 1, then Hood turn 2. So it's actually less than this. So keep that in mind. That was a little bit of a mistake that I just realized. One of the cool things, and I'm a bit of a puzzler, I like a little puzzle challenge, is that going through this deck analysis for the first time, especially because I've never seen anyone really do this, especially not to this degree, and especially, and I think that most card games are maybe a little there's too many cards to really do this and it be as meaningful. But in Marvel Snap, one thing that I love about it is that it's got a small deck size, but it also has an extremely modular card base where, like, even this deck, I can think of 8, 9, maybe even 10 cards that, clearly 12 cards that I could consider swapping out and maintain the integrity of what the deck is trying to accomplish. I will say, since if you're sticking around, the 2 cards that definitely seem best to me are Dr. Octopus instead of Gamora. I think that's an easy win. Darkhawk instead of Maximus looks really strong for this deck. And Debris instead of Polaris or Maximus. I think all those would crank this up like an actual notch. I'd have to test. I've been wrong before. And I think Spider-Man's a worthy consideration, but I don't think it's as good as the other ones. If I could take the star away, I would. But Daredevil's also considerable. If these are good swap-ins, right? If you have these other cards and you don't have some of these other ones, these are definitely good swap-ins. Anyway, back to Excel, where the fun is. Okay, so general playability. All right, I just sort of went through and determined that there are sort of like 2 ideal plays, which are either Korg or Hood on turn 1, and by the time turn 1 comes around, in 57% of the games, we'll either be able to play Korg or Hood on turn 1. We'll have an ideal turn 2 play. We'll say that there are 3 plays that are possible after me doing my analysis. I don't exactly remember what I came to, but you get the idea. And oftentimes we'll have an ideal turn, an ideal one, not just a play, but an ideal turn 2, 74% of the time. 74% of the time for turn 3. And you'll notice all of this sort of starts to correspond with what I've told you. We usually win by turn 2, 3, 4, maybe 5. And these are where our percentages for an ideal play are the highest. That is not a coincidence, okay? Our ideal turn 6 play is probably the hardest to get, just because we really need like Gamora plus a 1-drop. That's strong. One thing that is interesting, if we do get Hood on 1, the percentage of good plays we have does increase, because now we have a new card in our hand, which means we have to do a separate calculation, right? We have to account for that one extra good card. And in some cases, that actually does add more plays for us. This actually adds one more play on both turn 2 and turn 3. It would have been nice if I had written out what those plays were, but I mean, and turn 4. But basically, you're like combining a 2-drop with a 1-drop now, or a 3-drop with a 1-drop on turn 4, that kind of stuff. You have more flexibility there. We've already talked about this. Viper plus any 1-drop by turn 2 is 57%. That is a really interesting calculation. That means in more than half of your games, you're going to be able to send over something on turn 2. Again, this calculation has the same issue that this does, where I really need to calculate that we already have the 1-drop on turn 1, because this doesn't quite account for the fact that we could have drawn that 1-drop on turn 2, which is not what we're looking for. We're really looking for that turn 1-drop, turn 2 Viper. So these two should be taken with a little bit of a grain of salt. The percentage is not quite as high as that. Green Goblin's a gimp machine. All right, turn 3 he comes out and just sometimes wins the game, and in 50% of the games you're going to see him by turn 3. You got a 74% chance to see one of these 3 on turn 1. I think that's correct. Number sample is B8 on turn 1. We just need one of the 3, right? I think that lines up with what our calculation was. Yeah, 74.5. Yep. All right. It seemed high, but it was right. The chance that we have 2 5-drops and 1 1-drop on turn 6 is 76%. This one isn't perfect, but it gives us a sense, right? Like by turn 6, 76% of the time, we're pretty likely to be hitting both of our 5-drops and a 1-drop, so we have that kind of optimized turn 6 play for this deck. By turn 5, we've got a 42% chance to be able to play Black Widow and Maximus together. Not the most powerful combo, but it shouldn't be underestimated. Black Widow, again, 1 draw deny and 1 area deny. And if we play Black Widow and we play Korg and Rockslide in the same game, on average, we're denying them 2 cards across the whole game. And then Rockslide plus any playable 1-drop by turn 5. This does not include calculation for the demon, so if you play Hood on turn 1, it's actually better than this, right? So these are a bit ethereal. These are a bit ungrounded, but it does, to me, give a sense of like, okay, well, this has smooth curve, right? And that's what it's built to do. This deck is built to be effective, consistent, early, win games early, get you 2 cubes, and you need to learn when to snap. And that's location-based and situationally based, right? And again, don't be like me and not retreat when we're both snapped. It is. I still don't think it's ever the right move to go into turn 6 with 8 cubes with this deck. You need to win before then. Otherwise, you're taking a huge gamble. Like the chance of you winning on turn 6 is rare. You can limp through. That's different. And sometimes you can go for 4 cubes, but 8 cubes... no thanks. All right, so this is that classic calculation we've seen, the Korg calculation, which is using the hypergeometric distribution, and these are kind of the values I think you've seen on some other stuff. So right, this is Korg is played on turn 1. They have a 55% chance throughout the rest of the game to draw 1 rock. All right, Rockslide is played on turn 4. They have a 52% chance to draw at least 1 rock or more on turns 5 and 6, right? That's what the numbers we're looking at, right? So it gets a bit interesting when you start like really kind of like, because that's like, how useful is that? It's a good YouTube video, but how much value does that provide us? Like how much actionable decision making does that really impact us on? And so as you can see, I went deeper into the void. And let's imagine we play Korg on 1, 2, and 3. That means by turn 4, when we play Rockslide, there's a 33, 25, and 14% chance. So if I play Korg on 1, there's a 33% chance that by turn 4, they draw a rock. And then there's these sort of inverse or converse values for them not drawing a rock. 1 second. All right, we're back. What was I doing? I was probably talking about rocks. Yes, I was. Okay, yeah, these rocks, you know, this is not getting a rock by turn 4. So, okay. So we have to kind of split this calculation, right? So we have to, like, determine if they've drawn a rock by turn 4, then the calculation for after playing Rockslide is different, right? So if they don't draw a rock, which is these percentage of the times, then they do have a chance to still draw 1 or 2 rocks because they have 2 draws left. They have turn 4 and turn 5. Okay? Turn 5 and turn 6 to draw. All right, so if we play Rockslide on turn 4, right here, turn 4, okay, then they have a 57% chance to draw at least 1 rock. No, to draw exactly 1 rock before the end of the game. Okay? They have a before the end of the game. All right? And then if we play Rockslide on 5, then they have a 50% chance to draw 1 rock. Here they have a 14% chance to draw 2 rocks. And the reason is because they have to draw a rock on 5 and on 6. And we're pulling, from, around how many here? D12 is here. So there's 4 plus, there's 7 cards in their deck, 3 of which are rocks, right? And so they'd have like a better than 50%, a little bit less than 50% chance to draw on turn 5, and then an even lower percent chance on turn 6, but they have to get both, right? And so if we play Rockslide on turn 5 here, they can't draw 2 rocks, right? Because there's not enough draws to actually give them enough rocks, right? And the same thing is here. If they haven't drawn a rock by turn 4, there's not enough turns left for them ever to draw 3 rocks, okay? One of the things that I think is interesting is, like, what's the chance of them drawing at least 1 rock? Let's see if we can do that real quick. So 0, at least 1 rock is this. So there's a 71% chance they draw at least 1 rock. So that's kind of useful to know. Like, if you kind of play, I think that's actually a better calculation. I'm going to leave that up. Yeah, just like that. All right. And then here, if we play this, it's like, well, they only have 1 draw. So ideally, this wouldn't make a difference, right? Because they only get 1 shot at it. If I'm guessing correctly, this actually should be 50%, even if we do more than, yeah. Okay, so my intuition is correct there. So all that's kind of interesting. I think the kind of thing to take away is that if you play Korg on 1, Rockslide on 4, there's a 71% chance they're drawing at least 1 rock, and a 50% and a 14% chance that they're drawing 2 rocks. That seems like to be the case. Those are not bad odds, all right? And I don't think this should be any different either. Let's test it. So this is 1 or more rocks. Yep, same thing. So 1 or more rocks didn't change, and that matches up with my intuition about it. Okay, now let's get into the last little bit of information we have here. Then I'm just going to play some games. You can watch exactly how I'm playing the deck and get a sense of kind of what I'm thinking while I'm doing stuff. But this gives us a if we play Korg on turn 1 and Rockslide on turn 4, what is the chance on each turn that they draw a rock? All right? And so turn 2, they have 12 because there's 1 rock in the deck. Then 14.29 because there's 1 rock in the deck, but there's 1 less card in the deck because they already drew a card. All right? And this just assumes that they never draw a rock, right? Now we've played Rockslide, so now there are 3 rocks in their deck. And so now it's a 37, 42, and 50%. And it makes sense that this number's going up, right? Because they're not drawing a rock. So the amount of rocks proportional to the actual other cards they want keeps going up. all right, because they've drawn cards that they want. Now, if we draw a rock on turn 2, then we can't draw one on turn 3, and then we've just got a 25, 28, 33%. And you can kind of see how this goes down the line, right? This doesn't make a big impact on how all this works, but these are just drawing rocks on turn 2, 3, and 4 and how that impacts you. But you kind of want to know, like, if you're playing Rockslide and Korg, even if they've drawn one rock, there's like almost always a 33% chance that they draw a rock on turn 6. And so that means in a high percentage of the games, we're at least denying them one draw. And in some games, we're denying them 2. And very rarely, I think we could, 6% of the time, we can deny them 3 draws, which is incredible, right? That's a lot. That's a big deny. I don't think anyone can win 3 cards down, right? One of the interesting combinations you're seeing here is that Maximus is actually a great pick for this deck because we're giving them more draws. It's more likely that those draws are duds. You know, we can actually take the negative impact of Maximus, play him early on tempo, but it's more likely that they're going to draw a rock and that it really doesn't matter. That's just going to sit there in their hand, and unless they're playing a Dino deck, that's really not that good for them, or maybe a Patriot deck. Most of the time, playing a rock against us is really dangerous because we want to do area denial. Oftentimes, those just get stuck in your hand, and those can gum up combo decks, especially stuff that uses Moon Girl and stuff. All right, I think that covers everything I wanted to cover. I've got my tier list here. I think I'm going to take a pause, and then we'll play some games. All right, you'll have to forgive me. I don't have the most perfect setup for these, like the zoomed in type thing. But if you're playing on a big enough screen, you should easily be able to see what I'm up to. And let's play some games here. Now, I'm playing Area Denial, and one little thing I like to do is, I like to take a look at my early plays, right? I've got Korg, I've got the Hood, I've got Ebony Maw, right? These are the things I play on turn 1. And what I want to do is pick something that actually, like, might indicate a deck that I'm playing. All right, so I could play maybe Ant-Man. Maybe I'm flooding the board with 1-drops, or Blue Marvel. I like to go with Carnage, because ideally I have Hood, and the Hood plays in Destroy decks a lot. And so I think that this sort of psychological trick is actually pretty effective. So I'm going to do that. I've got my Area Denial up, and I think we're good to go. Now, this deck hasn't got me the most cubes ever, because it's been a bit tough to learn it. But I think I've gotten to a point where I'm doing pretty good with it. Another thing I like to always do is check to see if that's a human or not. Most people can't resist Hello Fist Bump, but maybe Vexara can. Okay, very highly unlikely that we win this game. So I really want to be careful about, how much effort I'm putting into this game. I really don't want to put up more than 1 cube, essentially. Play Viper here just for 3. Feels bad. We don't want to play Green Goblin onto Hala because then it gets destroyed. So we're just going to play Green Goblin into Machine World. We'll give him a machine, but, what can we do? Again, Machine World's also not the best for us. Hala's also not the best for us, so not a ideal situation. And that goes to him. He gives me a Bast. Oh, a Bast is actually not good for me. I will play Hood middle and Korg middle. There's nothing wrong with that. And then if they kill my Viper here, it's not the end of the world, right? Like, I'm still in a pretty good spot. I don't want to play Bast because it's going to mess up my Gamora. Doesn't it set them to 3? Yeah. So is he playing like a... Gosh, he might have a good deck. Bast is like a Series 4 or 5 card. I think I tend to play against people who have pretty good collections here. Ah, interesting. Stacking up here is an interesting choice. Mr. Negative, okay. I don't see a snap yet. Uh-oh. I could Hobgoblin here. This is a pretty risky play, but I feel like if I can get this Hobgoblin, the chance of me winning this game is quite high. I just need to win one other place. My guess is he's not going to play here. I don't want to snap because we're in a bad position, right? We snap based on our position, but I might be able to limp through this. And so one thing I'm going to do is just kind of wait. I don't want him to... There's one thing you can do where you like kind of draw the timer out and then snap, and that causes you to get the snap on the other person if they just like end their turn too quickly. Because if he snaps, I'm out. But the fact that he's not snapping... Hey, alright, alright. I'm in a pretty good spot. Sarah. Now, what could he have? And where is he going to play it? So I could Gamora here. But that doesn't help me all that much. Like, I'm pretty much guaranteed to win here unless he has some massive buffs that he can do. He's most likely got like a Iron Man. He has to play Hala, right? He's losing Machine World, so he has to play here. So if I Gamora, yeah. I don't think he had a win there, but I don't think it was worth me snapping. It's, once again, on turn 6, like I'm gonna limp through. I'm not gonna snap. It's not worth the risk, especially against that type of deck. You never know what they're going to do on turn 6. Oh. Got it. Next game. Okay. This is my only card that has any effect on it. So we gotta show it off, right? Limbo is not bad for us. I'd say in general we're favored on Limbo. And that's because we're gonna deny them draws and area. Okay, Patriot deck. Oh, wow. Interesting. So I'm going to go ahead and play Green Goblin here. No. We're going to play this one. That way they don't expect us to have another one. Okay, that's fine. Green Goblin. Well. Looks like he's playing a Patriot deck, right? This misses Rockslide on curve, but I think it's worth it to gum him up here, because then he's just looking at whatever he can get on 2 Broodlings. Yep. I think we're good here. The chance of him playing 2 cards here is pretty low. My assumption is he's going to fill mid. Mystique mid, maybe Mystique left. He might do 2. Nope. Yeah. I think that's game. All we have to do is do Rockslide here. Electra doesn't accomplish anything. He's got Shocker. So I also want to play the Hood here. And we can play Electra on the right, because it doesn't have any impact, right? It's just, we just need to get points on the board. We'll see what it is. Okay. The only thing that could really pose a complication, I think, for us at this point is Blue Maul. So here we're doing great. This could add 4, which would still not be enough. So I can do this here, this here. Something would have to die for this Viper to be an issue. I think this puts us in the best possible position. There's no way you can kill this stuff. But he's not leaving. Alright. Killmonger. Okay, not bad. I think we're still in a good... Oh no, Silver Surfer as well. See, this is why you don't go. Oh, wow. And the Silver Surfer is actually a good counter to us. I did not expect the Silver Surfer. Alright. There's 4 down. You go into 8 against some... Did I snap? I think I snapped. Yeah, you know, what can you do? Mistakes were made. Alright, and maybe I should have known that that was a Silver Surfer deck. Maybe that's obvious because there's so many 3s, right? Alright. No need to risk it. Happy to see Korg on 1. Okay. Not the best early draws so far. Nice, Daredevil. I do have the opportunity to play Ebony Maw here. I think it is worth it for the symbiote. Yeah, I'll go ahead and do it. Okay.
Wind, aid my hand.
I could play Maximus, but if he just plays, you know, anything else in there, then I'm in a tough position. So I don't think that really benefits me very much. I can play Black Widow Maximus on 5, or Hobgoblin or Gamora. Killmonger. Okay. Tough thing is that if he has Professor X here, then he can just Professor X mid. He could be right as well. The only way I would get past that is by doing like Electro right, Maximus mid. I could do this, right? That plays around Professor X. Let's try that. I played him in the wrong order, I think. Let's see what he does. Hobgoblin, huh? Alright. I do not think we have any business staying in this game. Let's retreat.
Escaped.
We haven't had too many of our early game plays, which makes this a lot harder. Hood here seems pretty good. I can Viper it and Green Goblin here. +1 energy, so Green Goblin's an easy win. Don't want a Green Goblin here because he's going to destroy, right? Destroy is kind of good against us, but we also have the ability to play around it. Another option here is actually to just go ahead and kill Nom. Since we don't have... He might just kill it himself. I doubt he will, though. Maybe you do something like this. Just gets the rock option, and then we can just Green Goblin next turn. Kill this before it can actually benefit him at all. Not bad. And he had no play. Ooh, Vormir. So we've got one favorable location for us, which is the sewer system. And we had a pretty good early play.
Wind, aid
Now it's coming in. Storm's pretty good against us. It depends on whether he has Killmonger, right? If he has Killmonger, I think we're done. So I don't feel like I can actually... Like, I don't know... Like, he's playing Storm, and that tends to be played in 3-drop decks. If I do Viper here, and no Demon, then he's at... I have... Yeah. Then he's got -5, +2 is -3. So there's a 6-point difference, which means he's need to play more than 6. And then Killmonger actually gets him points here. I'll play the Demon because I think Killmonger is a issue no matter what. And this way at least I have an option. Oh, he's got Mysterio there. Alright. So this is just a 1. And I am still okay even if he kills the Hood. Okay, so now where is he going to play? I could do this, pull this Mysterio clone here, but it might pull this out, which I actually don't want to do. So it's kind of a 50-50 Gamora classic situation. He just killed this one. Storm Mysterio. Is Mysterio... He's a 2-drop. How weird. What is he playing? See, now someone with better meta knowledge might know exactly what this guy's doing. I'm gonna go... I'm gonna do this, because I think I'll know where he's gonna go next turn, right? Let's just do this. Hey, that kind of worked out for me. And then Black Widow dies. Vision. Alright.
Victory.
I don't know why that pushed him over the edge, but it did. I will take it. The 0.94 that I have there is like the ratio game that I tend to win on the lifetime of this deck. 0.94 is quite high. I'm not updating it as we go here just because I don't have that calculation up. I'm just letting the match tracker, Marvel Snap Tracker, do that for me. Okay, I don't see... I'm happy to let Hood die here, I think. If I had Viper already, I would consider otherwise. But it looks like a pretty easy situation. And then I can Electra Ebony Maw. So I'm going to play Black Widow here. I'm pretty confident about this win. I think I'm in a solid spot because I can actually fill Muir Island. The issue is, if he's playing... This actually puts me at great risk for... Killmonger. So let's hold off. We're not ready. We're not ready. This is actually technically not even a favorable location for me. I might save the demon, actually. And just do Electra Ebony Maw. Or I could give him Ebony Maw. I kind of have a feeling he's playing a Silver Surfer deck and just has these two for turn 1 and turn 2 play. I'm going to do this. I think this puts us in a good position to maybe contest this without having to fully commit to it. And then we've got this Demon for flexibility for later. Alternatively, I could do Ebony Maw here, Demon here. Sure, let's try it. Discard deck. Weird that he's playing some of these cards. I think that's fine with me. I think I'm just going to do this. Pull Polaris out. Late game I can go here with Maximus. And we'll see how Mura Island goes. I feel like I'm in a okay position. The problem is if he's Hela, then he might just play cards to Oscorp Tower without it being an issue. Lots of cards. He's almost certainly going to play mid. Yep. Alright, and then we can Hobgoblin Korg. That's 9 power. No, that's 10 power versus 9. Now, the good thing is if he has... So there's actually a good reason here to play Maximus. If he plays... Okay.
Victory.
Working hard for these cubes, one at a time. Unfortunately, we haven't been in a solid position to have a dominating lead, where we have a decent location set and a good card draw. But it looks like they're getting better over time. Hala is what it is. Happy to just place a Ebony Maw here on turn 1. Don't need to overcomplicate it. And happy to kill a Sunspot with an Electra later in the game. But I want to save it. It would be a mistake right now to play this right now. Black Widow on the right. Only way this really messes me up is if it's the, like, whatever the bar with no name, whatever the one is where you have to have the least power. Give me a 3-drop. Okay, not bad. I'll take that. I kind of want to save this. Like, it's the great thing about Electro is you're not forced to tempo it out ever, pretty much. Like, you can play it on turn 6 with a Hobgoblin or Gamora. So I think we'll just take our 1-drop here and just leave it at that. Armor, that's fine. Wow, that's very risky. It worked out for him, though. Holy cow. Can't quite get much better than that, can ya? Play Rockslide. Probably end up giving Hobgoblin mid, would be my guess. We certainly don't want it left. Please play more cards left. Nice. But but he could get the Widow's Bite here. Thor. Turn 5, huh? He feels like he has this lane on lock, right? So he's going to play on the right-hand side. Would be my guess. I could Hobgoblin the left here and do a surprise contest here, and then do Maximus plus Electra mid. Let go of Xander, because I suspect that's where he's going to play. Let's try this. I might be wrong about him, but this is what I think he will do. Perfect. Perfect. Okay, so we just... if only I had not... If I had drawn something else here. So, Electra 7 points. And... he's probably going to buff up on the right. He might have She-Hulk for a big play in the mid. You know, what can I do? I'll see with 2 coin. Yeah. The Infinaut She-Hulk combo. That was a sick draw by him. I mean, he kind of had everything. Oh, he didn't get She-Hulk. It was Infinaut. I should have kind of realized that, right? Yeah, I would say that's on me. I didn't even think of Infinaut, and it was like a pretty obvious tell. Let's get some good locations going. I have had a lot of Korg turn 1, so I've been happy about that. Can't complain too much, right? Just not a lot of Viper turn 2. Okay. I am kind of interested in pulling that Ebony Maw. Into New York. Because I think he's going to play 1 card here. This is the most open space. Strange Academy's fine if you're playing a move deck, but otherwise you're like, why would I randomly decide where my stuff is going to go? And then I could play Maximus to the middle. Interesting. I'll let him draw and I'll draw. Does it still affect this area? No, it does not. I didn't think it did. The weird thing about my decision here was that I moved Ebony Maw to New York, where people can actually just move on turn 6, so I'm not sure that was actually the most thoughtful move on my part. Let's just do this. We can at least stack it up with what we want to put there. Alright. Let's go in mid. Oh, left. Okay. That makes me feel good. Boom. And now I just need to win whatever lane I play. I'm going to fight this lane here. And he's playing 1 card, whatever it is. Could be leader. If it's leader on the right, then we lose. If it's leader on the right and we play mid, we lose also. So if I do this, maybe I do something clever with like Hood, Viper, Green Goblin. Because that's going to give him a Hood. He goes first though. This is, you know, 8. Let's try it. I think he's playing leader, yeah. So he's got this. He passes that to me. I flip up Hood, pass that back to him. Alright, then I flip up, and he's got leader on me. See, I didn't quite think that through. Maybe there was a play there. I just didn't see it. But it looked like he was playing leader on the right. And so whatever I needed to do was like kind of 3 things in the mid, I think. And he revealed first. So I could have given him 2 cards that weren't very good. And then I kept the... Like, I could have played Hood, Green Goblin. No, but I could have played Hood. Then something, something. I don't know. Tough one. I at least correctly guessed what he was trying to do. So that's a win. Alright. Let's play maybe 1 or 2 more. Nice. Okay, we've got a good combo here, and we can go ahead and play Korg into New York. We don't want to play Viper, Ebony into New York, because then they can move stuff, right? Okay. And then I think we do Ebony, Viper in either mid or left, mid or right, excuse me. We definitely want to go mid, and we feel good enough to snap. This is one of the first times we've actually been able to get a location that favors us. Because now he's in a position where he can't really play mid or right. We've got to win in the mid lane. And I have an option here. I can either try to fight him on Kiln, or I can just go ahead and start loading him up with junk on left, which seems like a much more powerful strategy. I mean, he might have Killmonger, right? He could. My games have not been as smooth as they historically have been on this particular recording session. Yeah, he's going to fight on the right. No problem. He gets a Rockslide. No problem for me. I can also Polaris here. Pull over some junk. Polaris is... no, there's no way he's going to double up here. So we're actually good to use the Hobgoblin. Because it would be foolish of him to play 2 cards here. Because then he can't play his turn 6 play there. Totally fine with me. Alright, and now we play... Yep, that's the game.
Victory.
So that is actually how the deck works. And this location here was a key catalyst in our ability to win that game. Oh. Hey now. Well, I can play Electra there. If I need to. Yeah, I don't have anything better. And now Electra doesn't do what she's supposed to do anymore. Iceman's such a good card. Yeah, get out of here, you son of a gun. Okay. Really happy to see that. We've got something that actually benefits us. Vault's slightly favorable, but Sewer System's significantly favorable. So we're good to snap. I assume he's playing some Disruption or just sort of like a value card. Playstyle. Storm is fine. Happy to not fight him on the left here. My greatest hope, and if he's clever, he actually won't play anything here. But I'm not going to contest him at all on that side. Oh, clever. So I want to fill up this side here, and I can do this with Hobgoblin Polaris. I want to do Hobgoblin first because it's, well, Polaris won't work because that's the next turn, but Hobgoblin is good here. Because even if he plays Odin, the Hobgoblin will just bounce back. And so now he can't play Odin, so he's probably got this buff thing going on. Alright. Hey, stop buffing my thing that I gave you. Okay, so now we have to fight him on the right. And luckily we're in a very good spot to do that. So this would pull a 1 or 2 cost, and that would just be Okoye. Now, I don't think that he can... He wanted to play Odin there, right? So, wow, he's going for a snap. Now, normally I don't think I'd fight him here, but I'm trying to figure out what he would do. So he thinks he can win the right. I've got 14. This doesn't add anything. Really? All right, I'm not gonna take my advice. I'm gonna go against him. I want to see what he's got. What do you got? Is it Leader? It's Gamora. It's not enough. All right, that was worth it. That was worth it. I felt pretty confident about that. I was like, I cannot think of a single thing that this person would have. I don't think they should have stayed in that game. Like, they knew I had Demon in my hand, right? I said one more game. I meant until I am done. X-Man is favorable for us. Happy to play Korg onto X-Man. If I get a Viper here, I'll even pass the Korg over. Dream Dimension is a unfavorable location for us. But that hopefully we can save Rockslide to play on that. Maybe we have a play on turn 4 that's not Rockslide. Green Goblin here.
Enough said, bub.
Wow, that is a long animation. Come on, I'm trying to do my little thing. Alright, what's the difference? Adam Warrior versus Maximus. Okay, pretty good. I feel like we can go ahead and snap here. We're going to Polaris here, which will probably pull his one of these two, which I'm happy to pull over here. Now, I'd actually prefer Blade, I think. Ooh, we got my Grimora. Okay, chance of him winning left is incredibly small. We're going to go Rockslide on the right. Dracula. He's got a bunch of cards, so that's a pretty risky kind of idea there. So I'm kind of winning. I could actually Hobgoblin Electra here and contest mid as well. I think that's fine. I would be surprised if he plays 2 middle. Actually, I could be smart here. Even if he plays 2, if I do it, that's right. If I do Electra first, Blade dies, then Hobgoblin goes. And he still has to play something on the right. Let's see what you get off of Dracula. Looks like you're going for the RNG play. Hela. Okay. Okay. Alright. In it to the end, eh?
Victory.
I won't complain. Free cubes. I'll give him a fist bump. He wanted to see what was happening. Always open the credits first. Delay of gratification. Come on. Hey, love that. Sweet. That looks like a fun card. I haven't played with that, obviously, since I just got it. But Juggernaut's cool. Green deck. Rare choice. This guy's... There's no way he doesn't say hello back. Someone like this. See, look at this. That's not hello, though, but... Huh. Alright. Like to see that. I'm tempted to do an Ebony Maw on the left here. I'm already not... Like, I don't have a good... I could draw Viper here. I mean, I don't have to play Ebony Maw, right? And the chance of a Sunspot being able to beat me is pretty high. Let's give it to him. Actually, I think I have a better chance winning if I can draw Viper than I do by playing an Ebony Maw on the left. So let's just keep it real. Alright, none of this is good for me. The only thing that's good is he's filling this lane up. Gamora? White Knight? Lizard, eh?
Clear for takeoff.
Look at that. That's cool. Playing a rock, huh? That's not a lot going on. Kind of wasted an energy. I'm not sure why you'd play the rock. Yeah. So I could try to pull Sunspot out. It's kind of my only play here, right? He played a rock, so he can't even play. I'll limp through. Maybe I can yank Sunspot. And then he'll play mid. Alright. Nope. Good game. A leader. Okay. That Gamora discard was brutal. I probably should have retreated on that game. I actually haven't been doing very many retreats, which is an indication that I'm playing quite risky. Because I've had a lot of opportunities to retreat when I haven't felt comfortable. And I have a tendency to play more risky than I should. Bifrost is kind of nice for us because it means we can play Ebony Maw in the middle and then place something on the right and kind of have Ebony Maw scoot over to it. Necrotia is also great for us. But we've actually got our combo here. So I'm going to play Black Widow. Mid. I think that's fine. We can Ebony Maw Viper here. If we get Electro, we still win this lane. Weird. Oh, Widow's Bite's fine. But Mr. Fantastic's going to scoot over. Why did he do that? Okay. Well, luckily we're in a good position here either way, I think. Okay, I go to 5. Is that right? My guess is he plays here. That way it zooms in here. Although he might... No, Mr. Fantastic's guaranteed to go there. So I'm going to play here. Do I have... I don't have it. I feel like I can snap. This Necrotia is going to be great for me. And I think I've got him gummed up over here to where I can just play a Rockslide. And he's out. Mid. Okay, alright. I see what you're doing. I just don't understand, though. Like, I don't think that really worked out for him very well. Because now he's all stuck there. Cosmo here, I think, wins him the game. Otherwise, I think I've got him. I can spread out over these two. Okay. Still think I'm good. That was a good move. Ah, look, I can't catch up there. I can Polaris to pull out Domino and then send Green Goblin over. But that'll do -6. It's not enough. So the real question is, he has to win both of these, right? He has to. Which means I'd have to Polaris mid. Well, he might think that I can't win here. I could do this. I'm out.
Escaped.
We might have been okay, but thing that was really clearly working out for us. That Polaris he pulled was really good. I think he was a Silver Surfer deck. Hey. Alright, let's see what we get. Okay, we can wait one more turn. Hey, thanks, bro. Armor. Could be a destroy deck. Destroy your deck. Ooh, negative. Negative. I'm out. None of that was good for me.
Escaped.
I feel like there's so many favorable locations that we haven't seen. Normally, at least some of these locations spawn enemies or units on the field. That's good for me if I can get some stuff drawn. This is I think a rare, or at least uncommon. Hey, I'm okay with that. Yeah, you can take. Actually, I want to wait to Black Widow until he does something in Vormir. I feel like I am good to snap here. I feel like Ebony Maw is going to put me in a very advantageous position. The only way this goes bad is if he like storms here. But again, it's turn 2. What am I talking about? Okay, now that's fine. Whatever. That's very strong. I don't know why it takes so long to kill this this guy though. Let's see here. Okay, we did it. Oh, he's got... What a crazy guy. Oh, I drew... Oh, okay. Now, I haven't played anything Vormir. I'm going to let it go and fight on the right. What is he putting over here? Black Widow, huh? Alright, whatever. Fine. Those are my boys. I can just play Black Widow mid. Not a really big deal. I feel like I'm in a good spot here, actually. Already snapped, though. I don't think that helps you. Oh, maybe it does, though. Maybe it does. So this should win here, even if he kills. And then I just need to win right. Or mid. I actually have both options. Now, ideally, the thing is, he has to Killmonger now. If he doesn't have Killmonger, this is actually pretty good. Because this puts me in a position to win here. And then Maximus wins on the left. Or Maximus plus anything wins on the left. Let's see how it goes. Killmonger it is. Yeah. Okay. So he's got a death, right? This would pull Carnage mid and I'd win here. And then I can Maximus here. And then I'm threatening Oscorp, so you'd have to play something there as well. Is it worth 4 cubes? Probably not. Let's see what happens. Optimal play would be to retreat here, I think. But I think I got him. Oh, wow. No. Crazy. Very close. I thought that was a good play on me. I would not have expected that. Okay, one more game. That was a loss. Playing too risky. It is fun though. Don't get me wrong. A good time. You know, it's not all about. Especially with this deck, it's a lot of learning, right? Like, you really have to understand what people are going to do, what they could do. I gotta say, that play didn't even come to my mind, and now it will. So, this has been a really good deck to learn on. That is very good for us. Play Hood here. Oh. We don't know what kind of deck this person's playing. Alright, so this puts us in a very likely position to win this. We've got 11, 15 points on the board that he has to fight us with. He very well may try to do it. But if he does, we can fight for the other 2 lanes pretty easily, I think. Sure. So you got to get 10 more points there. Enchantress. Agatha. Alright. That is not ideal. This is good for us, though. So he's locked up on this. As long as he doesn't get something crazy, I think we're in a really good spot there. Okay, nice. So I think we just want to... I don't think Polaris really helps us too much. We just need 2 points here, so I can kind of wait to do that. I could pull Psylocke mid. Actually, I need more than 2 points. I need 4 points here. So I think I'm going to go ahead and do this. And the only way we would need to play Demon now, there's no really good reason, because we've played our other 3-drop here. So we can save it. Alright, let's see what you got. That's fine. It's actually entirely beneficial for me. I don't know. He's probably got the 10 here, but does he also have... I mean, I think I can test him here, right? That's 13, 14, 15. Yeah, that's enough.
Victory.
Okay, that was a good snap. Alright, for real. Last game. I gotta do chores. But hopefully, showing the games has been useful. Hopefully the analysis of the actual way the deck is set up is useful as well. And hopefully you were able to learn something. Looks like our last game here, we've got our Ebony Maw Viper stuff going on. Mojo World's a place where we are favored. Go ahead and save Demon. No real reason to play it. Now, hopefully, we can play on the right-hand side here. Ah. I think this is fine. There'll be a little bit of RNG to this. But he's going to fight on Kiln, and then we can fight the other two. And we just have to not get totally outmatched of our random 5-drops. And then I think we can do this here. The chance, he's got a Patriot deck, so he's not playing Killmonger. Pretty much guaranteed.
Opponent snapped.
I'll let him do the snapping. I'm going to put the Black Widow in his hand now, because then it has a chance to come right down on top of this Ebony Maw. He's got Khazar, though. That's kind of weird. Sure. Oh, Cosmo first. Wow. That is brutally difficult. Okay, I mean, I could still win here. But if he plays 2 cards, I'm done, aren't I? Cosmo. And first. Even though, how many cards do he have? 6 cards in hand. Alright, we'll see how it goes. For 8 cubes... There's no way. I'm out. I can't be snapped at the worst possible time. He's gonna play 2 cards. Oh my gosh, he didn't play 2 cards. He played Ultron. Oh, of course, he's playing an Ultron deck. I should have known. Oh, all the signs were there, but I missed them. Okay, so actually I was out of that one the whole time. All right, that, you know what? That's what you get. That's what you get. I didn't even consider Ultron and a better. That's why better players can take this deck, especially if they have a little bit more of collection, like Debris or something like that. Darkhawk, Dr. Octopus, and I think they can do even better. Daredevil is also a really good one. Anyway. That's it for me. Hope this was helpful, and I'll see you next time I decide when I fall in love with a deck. Until then, see you later.